Welcome to NC Wine Snobs as we savor the world one sip at a time. In this episode of NC Wine Snobs, we took a trip to Grandfather Vineyard and Winery and enjoyed 2 flights of wine.
Props to Grandfather Vineyards. They do provide some unsalted oyster crackers to go along with, which is really nice for doing your little palate cleanse in between the glasses of wine and the tastings of wine. I find it really helps.
So on to the reds with a Cabernet Franc.
And there's your Cab Franc, and according to the note sheet, it is straight Cab Franc. A little red berry, maybe a little bit of leather on the nose. Dry, not super dry, but dry. Very light-bodied. I get a little bit of smoke on there, actually.
Yeah, smoke and berries on the nose. Oh, that's nice. Very smooth first sip. Berries and chocolate.
Mm.
And by chocolate, I mean dark Hershey's Kisses.
Mm-hmm. So our winemaker notes, medium body red with notes of strawberry, raspberry, and bell pepper. I didn't get any of that. Yeah, their pairing suggestions are beef stew, lamb gyros, spinach quiche, eggplant, and arugula. So, I mean,
I don't know about the spinach quiche and the arugula, but it needs a strong flavor to balance it, I think. Otherwise, it would overpower. Arugula is a spicy kind of green. So
yeah.
That's enjoyable.
It's kind of on that borderline of would I drink that on its own, or does it have to have food? I'm leaning towards it has to have food. Which is, typical for a red, right?
It's a very flavorful wine. It's got some tannin, but it's not astringent. Berries and chocolate, and not sweet by any stretch of the imagination.
But it also doesn't have that suck your mouth dry tannin.
No.
That's a very drinkable wine.
Of all their offerings, I'd say that's a really solid wine.
Yeah. All right, so now we are on Wine Club Red. And this was made by Wine Club members. Don't have any more details than that, but this is a blend of Merlot, Zinfandel, and Chambourcin.
I'm getting dark cherries. It is dark. It's really almost so dark you can't see through it. Okay, these wine club members, they know what they're doing. One of the things I love about blends is it really shows the craft and the palate of the people who chose the wines to make the blend.
There's a sweetness on the aroma, too.
Mm-hmm. Chocolate-covered cherry sweetness.
Yeah. All right, so you got some tannins on that one. There's some, yeah.
That is a skin-on wine.
Maybe a touch of cherry. A little bit of pepper, maybe. Very dry, some red berries. Yeah, so their notes are red cherry, plum, and leather. And yeah, I can see all 3 of those on there.
Jambalaya pairing.
I can't disagree with that, especially if you put a little bit of
little wine in the jambalaya when you're glazing the pan. So we are Louisiana natives that moved to North Carolina. So when we see stuff about Cajun food, we always kind of smile. Yeah. And we know what real Cajun food is. So if you ask us what is the best Cajun restaurant in North Carolina, or the best place to get Cajun food in North Carolina?
Our kitchen.
And so the background story of that is that I'm not Cajun. He's not Cajun. My family is from Tennessee, my mom and dad. Your mom and dad from?
Northern New Jersey.
Both of us grew up in Louisiana and grew up around a lot of Cajuns and learned how to cook. And you know the difference between people who are faking it and people who know what they're doing.
All right, so next up is a wine called Fusion. It is also a blend. It is a combination of the Barbera grape, Shiraz, and the Norton grape.
I would expect the Norton to bring sweetness.
Yep.
And the Barbera spice, and the Syrah tannins. Flavorful, bold, grapey.
Probably from the Norton.
Not for sweet wine drinkers. It is dry. This is the fireside cigar smoking leather library wine.
By the way, like the Wine Club Red, I mean, crystal clear, but very, very dark, very opaque. Not really a whole lot on the nose. I see what you mean about the grapiness.
But it's also got smoky and leather.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that Norton lends a little bit of that Concord grape kind of.
I mean, he's got this fruit forward about it.
Fruitiness, not
Yeah,
sweetness.
yeah, yeah.
I'd also say this is a whiskey drinker's red wine.
Yeah. Of course, you know, this whiskey drinker would drink pretty much any wine, so that's kind of cheap.
Can you imagine that aged in a whiskey barrel with the vanilla notes?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, it's interesting because the winemaker's notes talk about cherry, plum, and vanilla. I don't get a whole lot of the vanilla out of it. I believe the cherry, but I also get just a touch of smokiness and sort of that kind of leather tobacco.
And for the plum, I get plum skin, not plum flesh.
Gotcha.
Because the plum skin gives you that tartness. I would classify this as an interesting red.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have, you know, it doesn't like scream, oh, I need to go with a steak, or I need to go with, you know, to your point, I mean, this could certainly be a sipping wine. Leather chair, you know, mahogany walled library type sipping, not front porch sipping, because it's a difference.
This is a Charles Winchester of Mash sipping wine.
Although, you know, I would put that with a charcuterie board.
True.
Their notes say beef brisket, black bean burger, or blue cheese.
Okay, they can have the blue cheese.
Yeah.
I had a brisket burger for lunch.
Yeah.
Well, brisket sandwich, you had brisket burger.
I had a hamburger.
The hamburger wasn't made for brisket?
Nope.
Okay.
It's ground chuck.
Ah.
Sorry, Chuck.
Okay, last wine is a winemaker's blend as opposed to a wine club member's blend.
So this is going to be a blend of the Petit Shiraz, and Zinfandel wines.
Very, very dark. It has some body to it. It's leaving a little bit of legs. This is running close for me with the Wine Club Red.
Flavor-wise?
I'm having a hard time picking out flavors.
Okay.
It's balanced, but it does have some astringency, some tannins. The finish is very dry.
Yeah, there's actually a brightness to it, but boy, those tannins kick in at the finish. Wow.
And based on that tannin finish, it's not a wine I would buy. I like stuff that rounds out. I don't want something that...
Well, it's going to need food. I mean, that's kind of the bottom line. I mean, I don't know that it's bold enough to stand up to a steak.
It is actually, when we look at our notes, is the highest tannin rating of all the wines. And that is exactly what we're tasting.
Yeah,
I don't know if the body is as strong a body as they say, but definitely dry.
Yeah, their notes say blackberry, raspberry, and spices. And I would kind of agree with that.
The spice is definitely there.
Yeah, I mean, and you get those bright red berries on the very front of it.
But you know, when they say spices, they don't say what spices are.
It's a huge difference between.
So you have herbs and you have spices.
Yeah, but even looking at spices, there's a huge difference between, say, cardamom and cinnamon.
Is it cinnamon? Is it nutmeg?
Yeah,
is it
right.
Clove?
Black pepper, allspice.
Allspice.
Juniper.
Oh, not juniper. We'll save the juniper for our gin tasting.
Price points on the reds. Cabernet Franc, the very first wine that we tried on the red half of the thing, is actually the most expensive wine, tied with the Jack Daniel's White at $35.95 a bottle. The Wine Club Red is $21.95, very reasonable for what that is. Fusion, $25.95, and the Winemaker's Blend is $29.95.
So the steel, I would say, is the Wine Club Red at the $21.95. I would say that if you enjoy a flavorful dry red and you have a budget, the Wine Club Red is a good buy.
Yeah, the other one that I would go home with is that Vermentino. That was a different wine, very, very versatile, and something that it really would go well with just about anything.
Now, all that being said, out of their top price points, the JD White and the Cabernet Franc at $35.95, I would go with the Cab Franc.
That's fair.
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel with the notification bell turned on.